D'Amato.
Oh, yes. Good morning, Brooke. Good morning, Sandra, and to all our viewers. And Stu, good morning to you. And very good visuals, a good idea of what's going on at the fire zone right now. Yesterday, we were watching the chaotic and catastrophic.
Very, very active in the hills of Pacific Palisades, burning to the east towards the communities of Santa Monica and the 405. And you can see with SkyCal that there are aircraft like that one they're flying. This is either a spotter aircraft or one of those Sikorsky Firehawks that is continuing in the overnight hours to do these very important water drops in these very hilly areas. Right there, you can see it. It is indeed a water dropping aircraft doing those water drops to try and contain those flames as they burn in the very rugged terrain to the north and east of Pacific Palisades. Now, if you come out to my map, I'm going to show you exactly where we are looking at here. So what you're seeing here, SkyCal is floating right about in this area, and we're looking in this direction. So that fire line that you see there is probably somewhere right around here. That's the active flames right now. And if I zoom in a little bit, what I'm going to show you is the devastation that we have been talking about in the Pacific Palisades area. All of these white icons, and I know my colleague Mike Rogers had been talking about this earlier, are homes that are in the footprint of the fire. And it's really devastating to see that there is actually very few areas that they were able to save. You can see these red areas here. Those are evacuation zones that possibly the fire skipped. But as you see here, the footprint as mapped by the Intel aircraft that have been coming out of Sacramento, the Office of Emergency Management, have shown that so much of Pacific Palisades has been wiped out by this fire. And as we zoom out and go a little bit further over to the west, where the western flank is still active, all of these homes here that had escaped the devastation of the Franklin fire about a month earlier now may have fallen in the footprint of this fire. As I show you another map here, this is the CAL FIRE 2D map, and you're going to see the orange area, the footprint that we're talking about. It burns right up to this gray area here. That was the Franklin fire from the early December, the first week of December. And you can see that now the Palisades fire has burned right up to that burn scar. So unfortunately, the people that were in this area thought that they had escaped the devastation of the Franklin fire, only to experience the Palisades fire this week. Now, again, this isn't the only fire that's burning in Southern California. There is still another one. I'm taking you to the map here. This is the footprint of the Eaton fire, and it is almost equally as devastating. Rick Montanez was just doing his live shot from right about in this area, in here, in the heart of the devastation of Central Alameda. And you can see all of those white buildings. These two are the structures that fell within the footprint of this fire. And you can see how far the fire reached down here into the community that is actually not far from the 210 freeway. So when we think about how fires devastate hillside communities, we never think about how far they could possibly have reached into central areas of the San Gabriel Valley, all due to this once-in-a-lifetime wind event. And you can see even here how far it stretched down almost to Sierra Madre Boulevard, which is not at all considered to be a mountainside or a hillside community. So the Eaton fire continues to burn with water-dropping helicopters. I can come out to the radar here and show you there is currently an active LA County Fire Sikorsky Firehawk in the Sierra Madre area also doing airdrops. And you can see by those orange lines the path that it has taken over the last 2 days.
It's devastating, you guys. Like, I can't get over what we're seeing.
And it is clear that the active firefight was taking place on both flanks. There is still active fire there as well. Yeah. Now, real briefly, I want to go over that fire that was in the Hollywood Hills area, the Sunset fire. Chris, I can tell you that
this fire, but it was an effort and a real job for LA City Fire and other agencies. Tim.
You're absolutely right, Mark, and I'll pick up where Chris Christie left off, because as we were pulling up, Franklin Street, which we were going down, was absolutely jam-packed with people. Even Hollywood Boulevard was packed with people who were evacuating from this area. We're on Fuller Avenue. You see the fire trucks behind me. What you don't see, even in the darkness here, is any kind of glow from this fire, because they've done a really incredible job knocking down this fire since the early goings. They essentially had support from above and firefighters here on the ground. The big concern, obviously, this is a heavily packed area with people, with homes, with apartment buildings. You see the apartment buildings here on Fuller, and I'll walk you around and show you what the obvious concern is, and was at least earlier this evening, is as you go down, it is nothing but homes, apartments, and businesses. So if any of these homes caught fire or apartment complexes, the fear would be it would go down beyond the Hollywood Heights into Hollywood, and then even beyond that. The good news is they really worked quickly on this fire, getting it under control and at least stopping the spread down the canyon into the heavily populated areas. Now, I should mention, because I've had a number of people come up to me in the last 30, 40 minutes or so asking me, hey, can we go back to our house? I don't see a fire right now. Hold on. I mean, evacuations, obviously, they start off very quickly and they end very slowly. And that's an important thing because they want to make sure this fire is out before people go back inside their apartments or go back inside their homes before anything bad happens. You see people here with some dogs walking right past the fire line, trying to go back into their apartment. Not a smart idea right now, folks, because obviously, while the fire just under 60 acres right now seems mostly
very
under
much
control,
like hurricanes,
you don't
right?
want things
Very
to flare up
selective.
again and things to get worse. Obviously, when you talk about the evacuation area, you're talking about Hollywood Boulevard North, all the way from Laurel Canyon to the 101. It's a huge area. It's a lot of homes, a lot of apartments here, but they wanted to make sure that the fire didn't come down and catch any of these homes here. That's why the evacuation order was put into place. That's why the evacuation order is still in place, and they're just urging people to chill out a little bit. Let them get their job done, give these firefighters room to work, making sure they can get real good work on the fire. And check it out. We'll get some of the guys and girls who are up there working on the fire. It's tough terrain up there with a lot of steep terrain, trying to make those lines, trying to make some progress on any of those hot spots. But obviously, you see there, people trying to go back to their apartments, but the work is still being done out there. So folks, give it a beat, especially when it comes to these evacuation orders near the Sunset Fire, where it may seem like things are done. It's not done just yet. Better be safe than sorry. Wait it out potentially for the night, Mark, because obviously the concern is still here.
Okay, Tim Caputo, thank you. Runyon Canyon Park, the biggest dog park in Los Angeles. It's an off-leash dog park and arguably one of the most popular hiking areas in the entire city. And it is a very well-known area, and so people want to get back up there as soon as they can. The good news is that fire still being dealt with, but it's on the right side at this point. Jory Rand has been covering the Palisades fire, and now as it progresses into the Brentwood area, Mandeville Canyon, another area of concern. Jory joining us now live. Jory?
Hey, Mark. Yeah, we're about halfway between Pacific Palisades proper and Mandeville Canyon. To take you behind the scenes for some of our viewers of what we've been dealing with today. When Pacific Palisades burned down, all of the infrastructure in town burned down as well. That means the cell towers were gone. We broadcast most of the time when we're in the field through cell signals, and that has been entirely wiped out. So every time we've had to report today, it's been very difficult. We kind of report on the scene, go somewhere where a signal pops up, and feed our reports from there. That's why we're at a roadblock here on Sunset Boulevard and not in Pacific Palisades proper or Mandeville Canyon. It's just really tough to get a signal in an area at an elevation that's already tough already. But I do want to take you a bit through our day today, day number 2 here in Pacific Palisades, beginning with our drive into town. And really, it was a haunting scene as we came into Pacific Palisades today. We saw the homes burning last night, and today, once the sun was up, we saw what that meant in reality. And for a lot of these families, it's going to be a sad reality because their homes are gone. This is on Iliff Street. This is 2 blocks over from Chautauqua, which we have spent a lot of time on. But really, it could be any street in this neighborhood, any of these streets. I drove up Alma Royale and took similar video from what our photographer, Sean Callis, took that you're viewing right now. Row after row and street after street, home after home, now gone. On Sunset in Palisades Village, the Chase Bank there is entirely burned out. Both of the supermarkets, the grocery stores that serve Pacific Palisades, the Gelsons and the Ralphs, are now both gone as well. Schools were lost. Churches were lost, including United Methodist Community Church on De La Paz. That is now gone as well. We visited that location this evening and watched nothing but the frame of that building continue to burn to the ground. And then, of course, we reported many times from that home on Bester Boulevard, where there were 2 homes that had not burned until today. One of them went up in flames. Firefighters from 2 different companies, one from Santa Monica Fire and one from LAFD, stepped in to put out flames twice in that home to make sure it did not spread. We also spoke with a couple security officers who were coming up here and making sure that there were no looters looting homes, which was a problem. We heard from the sheriff several arrests have been made, and they were making sure it didn't happen again at their clients' homes. Take a listen.
This is the most gruesome scene I've ever seen in my life. It's like a war zone. We just went through 10, 12 blocks. Everything is burnt down, live wires everywhere. We're trying to get to a location, but might be too many live wires down on the ground. But we do want to go check on my client's property.
Yeah, what's
make sure that there's looters. We got some calls saying there's looters. So we're going to try to see what's going on down there.
So those security officers were looking at their clients' homes. We saw other security officers bringing up entire families to look at what was left of their home. We saw one family of 4, and we asked them if they would like to speak with us. They said no, they didn't even want to be on camera. And of course, we will respect that in this difficult time for them and so many of these families, because life is much different today than it was yesterday or the day before for hundreds or thousands of families. You saw that driving video. That is the norm in Pacific Palisades. If you are able to survive this with your home intact, that is a rarity. There are small pockets and single homes who, by chance, were able to make this through unscathed, but that, by and large, Pacific Palisades is no longer, especially what it was just 48 hours ago. It is a much different place. Hundreds, if not thousands, of homes have been lost in this fire, and it's just a devastating scene. It's been hard to report on. And as you heard from that security officer, it is very upsetting visually, emotionally, when you think about what this means to people and the residents who are going to have to return home to see this. And that scene is going to play out hundreds of times as this is opened back up over the next few days or weeks. And folks watching at home, many still do not know whether their homes survived. And it's going to be a just a tragic march back into Pacific Palisades to try and pick up some of the pieces and rebuild. And we will see what happens, and we will be there to cover it as well as this community begins the long road to recovery. Reporting live in the middle of Sunset Boulevard in Pacific Palisades. Jory Rand, ABC 7.
Oh, guys, here we go.
System. On top of that, we had a loss of power temporarily, which impacted our water system. But I'll be clear, we could have had much more water with those wind gusts. We were not stopping that fire last night. Those erratic.
There we go. Start over.
Multiple structures have been damaged or destroyed as this wind-driven fire had wind gusts of 70+ miles per hour. We had spotting of embers 2 to 3 miles ahead of the fire. I can confirm tonight that we have somewhere between 200 and 500 structures damaged or lost. We really need, as it becomes safe to do so, and we get a better handle on this fire, we're going to be able to, we need to come in and be able to survey the damage to get an exact total of number of structures that have been damaged or completely lost. We continue to be in red flag conditions, and we expect that to be through Thursday, with variable and high wind speeds, thankfully not as strong as what we saw last night. We are encouraging people to stay updated as the weather can continue to change very rapidly. Please, if we issue an evacuation order, heed our request. Be prepared, have your go bag, and immediately evacuate.
Yeah, don't mess around.
Thankfully, the current forecasts allow us today to start getting aircraft in to fight this fire. Since around 10 a.m., we've had aircraft doing water drops. With the goal of limiting the fire spread, we will come behind those water drops with hand crews and fire engines to get a containment line around this fire. We expect, with favorable conditions over the next couple days, to start making good progress on this fire. And with that, I'll turn it over to the police.
So I've heard 11 deaths, but yet it keeps saying 5.
Your firefighters, how are they holding up for the past 22 hours?
Yeah, they're exhausted.
Yeah.
We need those reinforcements coming in, but they've done incredible work. Where they've, an example is crews that fought 15 house fires over a 28-hour period. They didn't save any of them, but they prevented 2 or 3 blocks away from burning down. So great work, not just from your Pasadena fire, but throughout this entire region.
You requested 60 strike teams. What's the status of that? And how long will it take?
Great question. So we have multiple strike teams that arrived. We're in the early like 15-ish strike teams, and we expect over the next 24 hours we'll be close to 50. Even some of the Arizona strike teams should be here by this evening.
You talk about resources being stretched. I know that this morning with some of the fires, there were maybe 1 or 2 firefighters on scene only because it appeared not to have the resources. Everybody stretched to the limit.
Yeah, sure. I would be kidding all of you if I said we didn't have resources stretched yesterday, right? It's a rarity that you have 2 major brush fires in LA County, like we did yesterday with the Eden Fire and the Palisades, let alone the multiple other fires that we saw. So we had an extreme drawdown from with LA County Fire, and they are our biggest partner. Even with their drawdown, they sent us a lot of resources last night, which was really helpful. It's unfortunate with the wind gusts that we had, up to 70-mile-an-hour winds. They had to ground their aircraft last night, but we really relied on all of LA County to bring us resources, and then with a mutual aid request from up and down the state. Did that answer your question? Thank you.
One more. I wanted to ask about, we were inside the fire zone and multiple residents had talked about a lack of water pressure or a lack of water at all when trying to fight fires. There's a similar situation in the Palisades when they said it was due to the amount of water usage at one time. Is this what you were seeing? What was the situation there? We saw it firsthand as well. Why was this the case? And is this going to be a problem for the future?
Yeah, when you have multiple fires, multiple city blocks on fire, with I'll throw a number out, 100 fire engines flowing water, we are gonna stretch our water system. On top of that, we had a loss of power temporarily, which impacted our water system. But I'll be clear, we could have had much more water with those wind gusts. We were not stopping that fire last night. Those erratic wind gusts were throwing embers for multiple miles ahead of the fire. And that's really what caused the rapid spread of this fire.
Sir, where specific fire start? The most specific, because it's a picture taken approximately 6:30 last night, like a transforming fire and around Canyon.
That's correct. The time that is correct. And around 6:30 was when the fire came in the Altadena area. It was actually in LA County, but right on the border. We had both Pasadena and LA County resources arriving almost simultaneously. And then, of course, the fire quickly moved into the Pasadena city limits.
So 10,600 acres on fire, 0% containment.
0 containment yet.
Destroyed. What can you say?
Yeah, what gives me hope is when I look at the trees and bushes around here. Last night was incredible, right? It was like something that most of you have probably never seen. Tonight we have very mild wind conditions where we can get aircraft and a ton of additional resources getting their hands around this fire. That's what gives me confidence that we're going to get a handle on this fire.
Before, why don't we bring the police chief up, and then then you can ask questions of both chiefs.
Can we talk about the cause of the fire and if there are others? You know that there's several fires burning.
But he says, no, I'm fine here.
The cause, you're going to love my generic answer, but the cause is under investigation, right? We have multiple fire investigators as well as fire and arson investigators from LA County and local resources investigating that. We need to let them do their good work so that we can come up with an accurate cause and origin.
Hey there, good morning. I'm Brooke Thomas. Thanks for joining us and sticking with us really on this nonstop fire coverage.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are hoping that we turn a corner today, that with some of the winds subsiding, at least not as strong as they have been over the past couple of days. Welcome to Good Day LA at 4 a.m. We have continuing coverage of the wildfires that are raging across LA County. This, of course.
all gone. The beautiful coastal community is not even recognizable. And it is a similar situation about 45 minutes away from the coast. The Eaton fire has changed this charming community of Altadena, destroying hundreds of homes there and businesses as well. The winds have pushed the flames, the embers. It has burned more than 10,000 acres at this point. We do know that 5 people have been confirmed dead in this. Evacuation orders are still in effect in the fire zones.
There are many schools closed today because of the fires
Fair
and the smoke. And
enough.
that includes every school in the LA Unified School District. So that will affect hundreds of thousands of kids and families. We also know that other entire school districts in these fire zones and near the fire zones are closed as well. So we have a full list of closures on our website, NBCLA.com. Firefighters, law enforcement officers, elected officials, they're going to be holding a news conference at 8 o'clock this morning to update us on all of these fires that are burning right now, and we will bring that to you live as soon as it starts. NBC4's Brittany Hope is covering the Palisades fire. She is live now in Malibu
Look
along
at
PCH
that.
near Las Flores Canyon Road. Brittany, what's the latest there?
Hey guys, yeah, to be even more specific, so Rambla Pacifico is the very closest street, and then the next main street is Las Flores Canyon, but this whole area could be referred to as the Las Flores Canyon. First, we want to show you where we are before we get into home. So right across the street from us, if you're familiar, that is the Habitat Home Garden Store. There's a bus stop right there. We're using this flashlight because we're just in a pit of darkness. Obviously, there's no power here at all. We have what seems to be maybe
It's so
a motel.
ominous.
And then over there we have a deli. We have Malibu Dive. We have the surf shop. We have a Mexican restaurant. So
Me too,
all of
Dingo.
those businesses there next to Rambla Pacifico seem to still be standing, which is news I'm really grateful to bring because that's not the case of what we've seen on PCH. Looks like we have another emergency vehicle coming this way. So that kind of sets the stage of where we are here. We'll bring you back to these homes. You know, if you were with us earlier, some of the homes you could still see the address number, but other homes, that's not the case like this one here. So you're looking at the ocean right now. You might be able to hear the ocean waves crashing. Just devastating, and I'm sure you can see a lot of the smoke that's still
Look
coming
at
from
that.
this.
There's the ocean.
Just kind of staying here on the sidewalk, but this is what used to be the garage. That's crumpled
Lordy.
here. And then there's the home over there. You guys, just so you know, I just lost my IFB, but we're just going to keep walking and talking. I'll try to call back. Let's see, there's no house number on this one, but you can still see that front entrance. Oh, and the Ring doorbell is still there. This tree is burnt. Let's look at this next home. Is this the one?
Lord.
Oh, okay, there's one more.
These homes would have been huge.
21240.
Backed right up to the ocean in Malibu.
Yeah, you can see the facade. Okay, we're back on IFB. Do you guys still have our connection? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Can you still see and hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So this is 21240. Let's see, we'll keep trying. Looks like this car survived. So this house right here that we're passing, there's, I think, 3 little mini garages. These are all still standing.
Yeah. Oh, and then you go through that door.
Oh, burned up in the back. So the front garages are standing, but it looks like the property that's back here is burned. Let's see where we are now, if we can get any house numbers on this. I think this might be the home that we could see from the side. It looked like the side of the home was burned, but more will be revealed.
Winds need to be less than 40 miles per hour to release the fire retardant goop.
Oh, this is interesting. So we have a fire truck there that's pulled into this property. So there's a few different properties here behind this gate. Many of which, okay, this is the building. So you can't see it, but from the other side, we saw that there was some burn on that. I think these are different condos. Oh, okay, and this is the mobile gas station.
Oh, look at that.
The gas station is still standing.
So select.
Which is a relief. If that caught fire, obviously with all those fuels, that'd be a problem. And then this
Good.
is Rambla
Thank you,
Pacifico.
Dingo.
Right.
And over there, okay, there's a souvenir shop.
Yeah, and you were showing us
Piston
earlier,
and Lucy.
Brittany, that
So
like
all of these
a big
stores
landmark
across the
there is
yeah.
is over at Duke's. So you're like right across from Duke's, and people, even if they haven't eaten or had a drink there, I mean, it's definitely a landmark when you're driving. You just can't help but notice it.
Yeah, of course.
So this is where Brittany is right now.
Yeah, certainly. We're only a few minute. Yeah, we're only a few minute drive away from Duke's, and Duke's is still standing. So if you're familiar with that area, there's also this liquor store. There's the post office here, the Malibu post office. That is still standing. A hypnotherapist, Malibu divers. A lot of these you guys have been here. I mean, since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So a lot of these have been here.
And we're hearing some air support coming in right
now. We're going to walk you back this way.
Do you hear that, Brittany? Is that a helicopter coming up
We
overhead?
are. Okay, there's. Sounds like a helicopter. Let's see where it goes. They have that bottom light on. All right, let's follow their path. And they're flying decently low as well. I can't tell. Oh, you know what? That's a Chinook, I think. Yeah, that's a Chinook. That's not a helicopter. That's a Chinook. So those are the aircraft we usually see doing water drops.
Right. So they may be coming in to pick up some water from the ocean.
Still a type of helicopter, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know, they're still flying high enough. It almost looks like they're surveying because they're not cutting in.
Bounce over here.
So they're heading towards.
To do our work, and obviously safety of residents and human lives will always be the priority. But you know, resources are stretched out thin.
Sure
so,
are.
You know, if we were going down these streets just like we were yesterday, we weren't seeing any fire engines. Well, it was because they were telling us that they were just one block over trying to get folks out that were trapped, who were unable to leave because they had decided to stay maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes longer, trying to see if they could save their property. So it's one of those situations where you're put in between literally a rock and a hard spot. And
okay, Dingo.
It was a no-win situation for both residents and fire officials. And in exiting, I can tell you, while we were leaving the scene yesterday morning, we ran into so many homeowners. A young family, and I call them young because they look like they were kids, I don't know, in their 20s, and I'm 40 something. And they took out their cell phones and they were recording their home. They were taking video of their home burning down. And it was just so incredibly sad to watch. They obviously were not the only ones. We saw several residents with their hoses trying to put out embers. So it was a really incredible scene to see play out throughout the city of Altadena, because again, you would have these homes that are intact and then standing right next to, again, homes that were just fully, completely gone and destroyed. And that is what I suspect we will be
crazy,
seeing
but that's how it works.
Take you through the city and navigate and try to find other neighborhoods that unfortunately look just like the one that you see behind us here.
It's eerily quiet right there. You know, yesterday we could barely hear Annette because of the fires burning behind her and all the wind, and then now it's just kind of this eeriness behind her there. And we appreciate your reporting there, Annette, as you see those spot fires burn behind her. We do want to show you the evacuation zone for the Eaton fire, where Annette is. The red zone there, that's places that are under evacuation orders. And then the green zones there, those are locations and neighborhoods that are under evacuation warning. So we're still talking about thousands and thousands of people being impacted by these evacuation warnings and orders.
And a lot of people are without power. They're not able to really, maybe watch the news or, get a lot of information. So you are being urged to find a way to, reach out to your local police departments, or just find out what's going on in your neighborhood. There are a lot of ways to do that. You can go to social media. You can go to our website. We're going to have more details about that, NBC4.com. Go ahead.
And as you can see, we're showing you the map here, and we were talking about how quiet it was compared to yesterday at Annette's location with the Eden fire. I mean, we're still in the midst of it, though. So even though it's not as chaotic as it was 24 hours ago, as we were talking about, the fire conditions, the red flag conditions, Meteorologist Glenda Leon has been telling us that those actually have been extended now through tomorrow. They were supposed to expire earlier. Now they've been extended. So we still got, at least 24, 36, 48 hours to go before we're, I don't want to say in the clear, but before things get better.
3:37 right now. NBC4's Lauren Coronado is also covering the Eaton fire this morning. So now you are live in Altadena for us, Lauren. What's the situation there?
Lynette, Adrian, good morning. We're on El Molino Avenue right now, just
Yeah.
off
Right,
Mendocino Street, I should say. You just saw a fire engine pass by right now. It looks like they are headed somewhere quickly, because right now we're still dealing with a lot of active flames. We're going to keep an eye on that in just a little bit, but I want to show you the situation that we're dealing with here on El Molina Avenue right now. It appears as though there was a fire that started one of these fires here at an apartment complex, what appears to be an apartment complex. And this is the destruction left behind. We're dealing with a lot of different fire engines, different fire agencies that are out here. In fact, we have one from the Monterey County area right now that is assisting in the Eaton fire here on the ground. And we actually have video of this complex that was on fire overnight, and you'll see firefighters trying to attack the fire, trying to save as much of this complex as they could at the time. Again, this was just overnight. I'm hoping you guys are able to get images of that video of firefighters working to put out the flames. Such an intense situation, because they're saving whatever they can at this point. We've shown you some of the homes that have been burned here in Altadena. It's devastating to see. A lot of businesses have been burned as well. And then, of course, overnight, we're still dealing with more property, more structures that are
does.
destroyed.
It looks like a war
This one
zone.
appears to have been badly damaged, but certainly not as bad as what we've seen. It looks like the unit upstairs, and we're utilizing lights from the fire engine right now. It looks like units upstairs at least have some smoke damage there, and you're seeing all the
At the
debris
very
on the
least.
ground as well. I want to show you guys, we actually pulled up what this apartment complex looks like, what we believe is an apartment complex, what it looks like on maps. Let me see if we can get that image for you. We used our Google Maps because at this hour it's so dark out, and we're trying to give our viewers the best understanding of what we're showing them, because it's dark out here, it's smoky, you're seeing piles of debris. So again, we're on El Molino.
I was
Avenue
really
right
hoping
now.
they were going to be further
And
along.
here's what it looks like as we pull up our Google Maps, and excuse the broken screen, and I don't know if it's easy for you guys to see what we're looking at here, but this is the apartment complex. You can see the two units there. Oh boy, now that we're getting a good look, Renee Luna, my photographer, take a look. I think that's the entire middle section actually that burned. You can see the brick steps right here. Do you see that, Renee? So there are the brick steps, and then you look here, you're also seeing what was a stairwell.
Yeah.
And then you look at that Google image there, the comparison.
Yeah.
My goodness. And there's the palm tree for reference. Yeah, that's got to be it. And it looks like there are at least 2, maybe 4 units that were, that were there at some point. Adrian, Lynette, I mean, take a look at that.
I can't imagine.
That's pretty terrible to see. And then it looks like there's that 3rd unit
Yes.
right next to it, which is still standing. I might see some smoke damage, but it looks like it's that middle unit, the middle units that didn't make it. And if we pan down the way, I know you guys are talking about power lines too, down power lines here, we're starting to see more utility crews out here as well. I know we're doing a lot of comparisons from what we saw yesterday. And keep in mind, when we're making comparisons about, compared to what we saw yesterday, those comparisons are so tough, because what we saw yesterday wasn't normal. So we're comparing something to
exactly.
What we're seeing now is devastating. What we saw yesterday, that comparison is difficult to wrap your mind around. Roaring fires,
I have
homes
no doubt.
crashing right in front of us because of the fires. So when you're doing the comparison, let's not diminish what we're dealing with right now, because this is awful. And overnight, to see that homes are still threatened to this degree, is just heartbreaking to see right now. Lynette, Adrian?
It's just real-time conditions. You know, the before, you'd say before and after, but it's really before and right now, current. And you know, it's the realization that was once a beautiful place to live is now it's rubble, it's ashes, and it's still on fire.
And seeing that on your phone really gives you some perspective.
Also give the Kardashians lots of content.
We'll be checking back with you throughout the morning. All right, 3:42 right now. We're going to send it over to Belen. I just can't get over. You
Started
can't help
streaming
but say,
bright and early.
what a difference. Like, you know, our reporters were in the worst conditions yesterday, and you kind of want to say, oh, this is so much better, but you're just not sure what's going to happen next. What's around the corner?
Okay, well, let me get you through there, right? Because right now, this is what we got. We're talking about.
But, you know, you see so much of this, and then right next to it on the other end here, there are homes that have burned. And as Amanda was talking about, I mean, we're looking at downed power lines. One of the other things that I noticed too was a lot of these power poles themselves have snapped and fallen. And that has also brought down some transformers. So there's so much in the road that makes it so treacherous to get through here. But you see just on the other side of this alley where there was a couple of homes that have burned. And I've got to tell you, we were driving around these neighborhoods, and it is essentially the entire neighborhood. I mean, we're talking block after block after block. And, you know, Chris and Christine, we were saying earlier this morning about how we're used to covering, you know, there's a fire and we go to that neighborhood and we cover that community. But having been in the Palisades yesterday and seeing how so much was lost. And
yeah, I'm a little nervous once these winds pick up again, because they are getting very close to LA. It's terrifying for these people.
Feels like the words are not enough to express the loss that we're seeing here. How many homes? I mean, I can't even count them. And to hear Amanda talk about that as well, and she's in a completely different part of this community and seeing so much devastation where she is, and then we're seeing all of this here as well. And it's just so heartbreaking to see and feel this. You know, from what we're seeing here in Altadena, and seeing all of this damage down Lake Avenue, and so far from the foothills, and knowing that this was a wildfire that came through here. I mean, it honestly, you can describe it as looking like a war zone, or like a bomb hit the area, or, you know, things of that nature. But as we were pointing out, the danger of this area still is very, very, very real. So I'm echoing what Amanda was saying. Don't come here. If you're evacuated, stay out of the area because of the power lines, because of what's in the road. There are trees, there's debris, there's collapsed buildings, stuff still on fire. You don't know what else can happen. And of course, also critical, there are so many firefighters, police officers, deputies that are moving all over the area. So you want to stay out of their way as well. That is our main objective, to bring you the information, but also to stay out of the way of first responders, to let them do their work. We certainly don't want to get in the way of that, but critical to bring you these images of what is happening out here.
Beyond devastating.
Yeah, and you know, the thing that has been the most impactful for me as I've looked at all these images is when someone does a side-by-side of what that business or that home used to look like versus how it looks now, because it's almost like, especially if you're watching it through your TV screen, it's like you're looking at a movie set, like you're at Universal Studios or something. And then when you actually see what something used to look like versus how it looks now, it takes your breath away.
Yeah,
that it does.
And Christine, if we could show, I told you the Theosophical Library Center, if Ernie can get adjusted to the phone here and see. I mean, this is the building. And so that is, you know, trying to figure out, like, down the street here to see statewide commercial insurance brokers. That's what's next door. That's also burned down. There's a notary business that's burnt down. And then, you know, so I've been doing a lot of this to just try to figure out what is around, what is here. You know, there's some buildings like the Aldi that we saw that has burned down, the grocery store that's just up the street from here. That's easy to tell because there's still signs up, but some of these buildings have just collapsed. And so it's hard to see what it even was. And then you look at those images online, and it's stunning, like you said, Christine, to see the contrast of what was and what tragically now is.
And what's crazy to think about is, I mean, Rick said he was in Palisades yesterday. Now you're in Altadena. It's about more than 35 miles, about 30 miles apart, but you're seeing the same type of damages. And that's not something we see that far apart.
At the same time. And you mentioned the Aldi, and that's the thing too. Even if someone didn't lose their home, they may have lost their children's school, the library that they would go to check out their books from, or go to a children's reading hour, or their grocery store. I mean, I keep thinking, someone said to me the other day, where are all these people going to live? Where are they going to shop? Where are they going to go to school?
Where are they at right now?
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know?
that's why the impact is so widespread.
It's the entire community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Rick, we appreciate that update. And I mean, I think you talking about the before and after images really kind of puts things into perspective for all of us of what it used to be. Because
much we lost.
When you just see the destruction, it's hard to tell. That could have been a school. That was a church. That was a karate building. So.
Yeah. Well, we want to check in now with assignment editor Mark Liu, keeping an eye on all of these fires.
Yeah, Christine, Chris. So I want to take you out to some live pictures from SkyCal, who is floating back and forth over the northern flank of the Palisades fire. Still very active this morning. Big line of fire. If you can come out to my screen, there you go. That's the northern flank of the Palisades fire. You can see there Topanga Canyon Boulevard and South Topanga Canyon Boulevard right there in the center of your screen. SkyCal was on the eastern flank a short time ago, but then came around to the north and is looking at this still very active fire line there. Now, one bit of good news here is on the northern flank of this fire, at least the northeast flank, which is kind of what we're looking at, there's just a lot of rugged terrain, not a lot of homes in this particular area. This is west of the 405 and south of Encino. And if you come out to my map on screen, I'm going to show you what it is that we're looking at here. So SkyCal has been floating back and forth in this area for about the last 20 minutes, looking southbound at this northern flank. And just a second ago, SkyCal was right about here, and we were seeing this area. So that's an idea of where the fire is right now as they continue to fight it. And you can see here, there's not a lot out in this area here. There's the Topanga Fire Road on the left side of your screen. There is some communities here. Hopefully these people in the area of Topanga have evacuated. I know that yesterday they were working on getting those people evacuated. The fire, it started right here and has continued to burn, to the west and east. But we did see fire all along the northern flank, including this area here on the northwestern flank. Did see fire all through here and into Payuma Road. Now, one thing that strikes me is that this community here of Montanito, I remember 1 month ago, almost to the day, I was talking about the evacuation of Montanito because of the Franklin fire that was coming up to the north. Now, these very same people, if they are still in their homes, which I hope they are not because they've been under an evacuation order since yesterday, will likely be seeing fire once again coming up from the south towards their homes as the Palisades fire has now burned right up to the burn scar of the Franklin fire that was exactly 1 month ago to the day is when it started. So this fire is still active at 0% containment, 17,000 acres. And I want to talk a little bit about containment numbers because we're going to hopefully start hearing more about containment numbers of fires of this size. Now, I'm going to zoom the map up real quickly to a fire that really is a good news story. The Hearst fire here, you can see in the Sylmar area, is currently at 10% containment. Now, that sounds like a low number to us. We think 10%, that's not very high. But when the last time we've looked at the Hearst fire, there's no active flames up here that we could see with our chopper or ground crews. And that's because of 10% containment. The fire is very, very small.
That is a win. That there is a win.
Indicates the amount of work that still needs to be done by firefighters before they are confident that it's not going to flare up and cause more damage. So when we hear numbers at about 10% containment, like at the Hearst fire, we can feel confident that that fire is really starting to lay down and get a good handle on it. When we hear numbers as high as 40 or 50%, we know that that fire really isn't doing any more damage. Down here at the Palisades fire and over here at the Eaton fire, we are still looking at 0% containment, so there certainly is a lot of work to be done. Coming back out live here to me, I can tell you that the aerial attack is going to be a really big indicator of how they are going to get these fires under control and containment. That aerial attack continues through the morning, and I'm going to have more information about the aerial assets, including some fixed-wing aircraft dropping retardant probably around the time that the sun comes up. When they get on scene, I'll definitely let you know. That's it here from the desk. I'll send it back to you.
Okay, Mark, thank you so much. And we want to let you know you're watching KCAL News Mornings at 4:30. We're continuing our coverage of the wildfires continuing to burn all across LA County. Let's get you the latest on all the major fires burning right now. We'll start with the Palisades fire burning in Malibu and Pacific Palisades. It has now exploded to more than 17,000 acres. No containment at this hour. At least 1,000 structures there have been destroyed.
And we're also going to get a recap on the Eaton fire in Altadena and Pasadena. 5 people have been killed. It's burned more than 10,000 acres, still no containment. At least 1,000 structures have been damaged or destroyed.
And in the last 24 hours, the Sunset Fire erupted in the Hollywood Hills. Fire crews stopped its rapid spread at 43 acres. Mandatory evacuations are still in place.
And even more devastation out in Studio City, where another fire broke out last night. And take a look at this. SkyCal was overhead as several homes burned. This massive home collapsed. Flames are now knocked down. No evacuation orders are in place for that area.
And the Hearst fire, it's also burning in the Sylmar area. So far, it has burned 855 acres with 10% containment.
We'll take it.
The air quality for most of the Los Angeles metro area is at a hazardous level, and there are still many power outages across the area. And thousands, well, they're still in the dark this morning.
Yeah, and that's one of the main reasons that LAUSD closed all of its schools, because even if schools are standing, there's the community impact for so many.
Well, you even mentioned a lot of the teachers are affected, so they have substitutes, and if they're affected, there's
not even substitutes, because it's tough to get people in. So yesterday, both of my daughter's teachers were not able to come in. So, you know, so many people experiencing loss and confusion and chaos right now. As we mentioned, the Palisades fire burning in Malibu and the Pacific Palisades has now exploded to more than 17,000 acres. And that image that Mark showed us with the fire line is just takes your breath away.
It really does. No containment at this hour. We know at least 1,000 structures there have been destroyed. Let's go to KCAL News reporter Luz Delia Caballero. She's at PCH in Rambla Vista.
Towards the structure, we're like, oh wow, okay, that house is gone. But it's right stuck in between 2 other properties that are fine, and that was one of the big shocks yesterday as well. So again, more fires. There we go, Jeff. If you can pan over here, you see that right above those cables right there, still burning, and that's one of the reasons why law enforcement officials are also, you know, doing the due diligence and trying to keep folks out. And you know, again, like I said, we did have a little bit of issues in getting into our locations, but they did warn us, be extremely careful. There are a lot of down power lines. There is a lot of debris still laying on the roadways. So just, you know, be extremely cautious everywhere you are stepping. So there you have it, Adrian Manette.
All right, Annette Ariola and her photographer, Jeff Sharping, thank you for that live report.
It's just about 4:30 right now. You are watching Today in LA as we cover this wildfire emergency. We've been covering this emergency live on the air since Tuesday morning, right around 10 o'clock. We appreciate you joining us. I'm Adrian Arambulo.
And I'm Lynette Romero. We do want to tell you we're going to continue this live coverage. We do have a news conference coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. We will, of course, cover that live. Let's show you the latest numbers that we have at this point. These will change today as they continue to get more information. But the Palisades fire at this point is so much larger than it was just 24 hours ago. It is now more than 17,000 acres. That is about 26 square miles. The landscape of the seaside community has changed drastically. More than 1,000 homes and businesses have burned. Neighborhood after neighborhood just gone. The other big fire, of course, is the Eaton fire. That started in Altadena. That's where Annette was just now. It has burned more than 10,000 acres, destroyed hundreds of homes and businesses. And as she told us, 5 people have been confirmed dead. We are working to get more information about the victims.
Evacuation orders are still in effect in both of these areas. Again, this is still a dangerous situation, and keep in mind that the fire conditions, well, we're expecting those to stick around even longer now through tomorrow. So we'll check in with meteorologist Belinda Leon about that. Many schools are closed today, including every single school in the LA Unified School District. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of kids and families that are going to be impacted by that. The superintendent making that announcement last night. This obviously impacts many, many people. Now, beyond that,
I think
we
you
have
got a wrench.
many other
Did you get a wrench,
entire
Bingo?
school districts shut down for the day. So we're going to put on a full list of closures on our website, nbcla.com, and you can get the information that you need there. But we're showing you just some of the school districts on your screen right now. The fires burning in this area, we're going to get an update on them. And right around 8 o'clock this morning, once again, there's going to be a news conference with firefighters from various agencies, law enforcement officers, elected officials. And as soon as that starts, we will bring that to you live.
All right. We've been continuing to show you all of those school closures. Important for you to make sure and check ahead. It's important to know that because classes have been canceled, there are some other opportunities for help for you and support. The YMCA, they say they can help with free childcare. YMCA centers will be open today for kids in TK through 8th grade. This is a list of some of the centers that will be open for you today: North Valley, Ketchum Downtown, Culver Palms, East Valley, Westchester, Mid Valley, West Valley, and also Burbank.
And we heard from Superintendent Carvalho last night. He mentioned the district will distribute grab-and-go meals to LAUSD students this morning from 8 to 10 at the following schools: Mulholland Middle School, Sepulveda Middle School, Hollenbeck Middle School, Southgate High School, Fremont High School, Harry Bridges Span School, Marina Del Rey Middle School, Sonia Sotomayor Arts and Sciences Magnet School.
All right, NBC4's Lauren Coronado has been covering the Eaton Fire for us
So
this
do
morning.
I.
We're going to go back to her in
What the
Altadena. So
hell?
you're near a fire truck. We can tell that with the lights shining on you. What's the condition now?
Lynette, Adrian, we're on Palm and Lake right now at the corner of it, where we stumbled upon a fire that is burning right now, and crews just arrived within the past minute and a half. These are crews from NorCal. We know we've had a lot of assistance from NorCal, and they are busy right now. They just pulled out the fire hose and they made their way to the back of this home, 912 Palm, at the corner of Lake right now. And for a moment, we saw embers get kicked up. We know how dangerous that is. The home next door is still intact. So that's the last thing you want, is to lose more homes.
Oh, Lordy.
This home appears to still be intact as well, by the way. It looks like the back of it is where the fire is burning right now. We saw at least 2 firefighters make their way back there. You might be able to see some of the water effort. You can see right there. It looks like we have a firefighter coming out from this angle as well. A second fire engine is arriving. They are busy. They tell us that another fire engine is on the way as well. In fact, we had to move our van because they said they were expecting more resources. We're starting to watch them pour in right now. And you really just got to hand it to these firefighters. They have had no breaks. When we were in the area taking a look at some of the other homes damaged, we stumbled upon a fire engine, and I said, I'm going to ask them what the firefight has been like. And I ran up to the window, and the poor guys, they were just slumped over on the steering wheel, taking, I'm sure, what is going to be a very quick nap after having attacked another fire at a complex that we were at about half an hour ago. So they did their job, and it looked like they were able to get just a little bit of rest before getting back on the fire lines. And here where we're at right now, we're continuing to see more firefighters arrive, and they're making their way. You may have seen that firefighter make his way just behind me, rushing down the way to make sure that this fire doesn't spread to other homes. Because take a look at how close in proximity these homes are to each other. You can see this home is completely safe. They want to make sure that this fire isn't going to spread to the next home, because that's what we've been seeing. We were in Pacific Palisades yesterday, and we were watching these homes up in flames, and you see a home next door and you want to save it, but there just wasn't enough resources at the time. And unfortunately, we watched that entire neighborhood get destroyed. I want to show you what we're looking at right now as they continue working to put out that fire just across the street. Unfortunately, homes burned here too. You could just see the frame of this home. We're going to cross carefully here. Of course, this area is closed off to folks, so we're just dealing with emergency personnel But this is right across the street here on Palm, again at the corner of Lake. You're just seeing the frame of the home, the charred home, still a lot of area smoldering
Glitchy,
right now.
guys. Sorry.
Really tough images. And you just think of the homeowners, you think of the families who aren't coming back home to a home.
I'm gonna go over
Next
here and
door
see
to
if
the
it's any
left, you're
better.
also going to
I wanted to get some clothes for my son. The entire neighborhood is burnt down, but somehow my house does not even have a scratch. There's no fire damage. I went in, but the house next to mine is still on fire. So I'm going around begging anybody to come put out that fire to protect my home.
Because there's no water.
There's no water pressure. I tried to turn on the water myself. I would have tried to put it out, but I have no water pressure, so I have no way of putting it out.
So you and your wife are just trying to go get bottled water?
Yeah, so my wife went to get bottled water. I'm going to meet her down the hill, and we're just going to try and throw bottled water on it, but I don't know if that's going to work.
You need a lot more than that. And so the firefighters said that you're basically not on the list right now?
They said they had a list of places to go. They're spread thin. I understand. I really understand.
Yeah, I know. But, so you're just begging somebody, if anybody's got water and can help. You're about a mile down the road from here. Tell us your address.
I'm at 615 East Los Flores Drive, Altadena, California, 91001. I'm begging anyone to help me put out this fire.
So he's got fire basically all around his house, and somehow there's no damage to his house yet, but it's only a matter of time, and there's literally no water to be able to fight it himself.
Correct.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Help.
Yeah,
Please, help.
Yeah, and just look at the soot on his face there. You can see the soot on his face for just how, panicked he is, trying to do whatever he can. This message, by the way, was received by hundreds of people, not just in LA, but across the world. People were sending him water, sending him supplies. Look at this update.
And thanks to you guys in the public, all over the country, this guy was out of water, of course. He and his wife going to the store to get bottled water to throw on their house. He lost his uncle's house, his mother's house. There was fire literally all around his house, and he was desperate for somebody to come help him. The community stepped up, and he right now has a home still tonight because of you. So here's what he had to say earlier.
I hope I can get some help. To know that my house is standing and then I might lose it because I just couldn't get help, that will even be more painful than it being gone last night.
So again, I mean, I know that, LAFD was asking only firefighters yesterday that are, with the force, but maybe off duty to help. But maybe if there's somebody out there who's got firefighter experience and they're trying to see what
Is
they can
it
do.
frozen on your
Anything
side?
you can do to help guys like Chris Anderson who are just begging. They're out of water and there's nothing else that they can do. I know he could really use the help.
Yeah.
So
Is yours freezing, guys?
Literally all over the country, people were dropping off, giving them tips and then coming to his house and dropping off cases of water. And with everybody's help, they were able to save his house. Of course, there's still fire all around it, so he's hoping that it stays that way.
Fight with that fire.
Okay, and as you did that, so this was yesterday. Was this at night?
Yes.
Okay, and are you now going off to work? It looks like, or
No, I still wake up because I still worry about my house and because it's still fire in the top. But I stay up and be ready for everything.
okay. So, and you guys were actually just sitting in your car instead of your house. Is that because the power's off and it's just too cold?
Yes, the power is off.
Yeah. So you guys are trying to sleep in your car just to stay warm.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, that's what a lot of families are having to do just because there's not a lot of places to go at this point. It's pretty chilly out this morning. So they were sitting here. That's how we found them with their car running, just trying to get through. Why didn't you evacuate?
I'm trying to fix it.
I don't know.
You just wanted to try to save your home?
Yeah, I just try. I try when I leave to leave my daughter and my mom. And when I coming back, I see the fire really close. And I decided to stay to save my house.
Have you ever had to do anything like that before?
No, it's first time.
Okay, and describe to me what it looked like when you saw the flames everywhere. What did this neighborhood look like at that time?
Well, a lot of people run, so a lot of people left, and but when I see all the sparks in the floor, I start wetting the floor and everything, and start fighting.
So it's fight or flight?
Yes.
Okay, Jose, thank you so much, and I'm glad that you were able to stay safe with your wife, and thank you for helping your neighbors out too. We really appreciate it.
Happy with me because they know I'm saving their houses.
Yeah, were they here at the time?
Yes, well, she's over there.
I'm gonna do this.
And